if you voted for Donald Trump personally because you thought he was going to lower the egg prices, for example, you are in for a very hard, very surprise.
Donald Trump, his choices for his cabinet are coming under increasing fire, possibly facing confirmation battles in the Republican-controlled Senate. Chief White House correspondent Mary Bruce is at Mar-a-Lago. Good morning, Mary.
Good morning, George. Well, Donald Trump ran as a disruptor, promising to shatter the status quo. And based on his cabinet picks, he intends to make good on that promise if he can get them confirmed.
President-elect Donald Trump Saturday at an Ultimate Fighting Championship event alongside controversial members of his new team. As this morning, Trump is gearing up for his own fight to get his cabinet picks confirmed.
These are disruptors. They are. I think that's by design.
Questions continue to grow over Trump's choice for defense secretary. Fox News host Pete Hegseth, his attorney confirming Hegseth paid a woman who accused him of sexual assault in 2017 as part of a settlement agreement, though claiming the encounter was consensual. Trump was made aware of the incident shortly after he named Hegseth to the position and is standing by him. His team saying that Hegseth has vigorously denied any and all accusations and no charges were filed. We look forward to his confirmation. Hegseth is also under fire for some of his tattoos.
How are they disruptors when they staff basically the entirety of the apparatus? Yeah, they're not real disruptors, I guess. There are certain aspects of it that is disruptive. Having someone like Pete Hegseth run the DOD is unique, okay? It is unique because he does not have the adequate experience. Like, he is now placed on top of an organization that is literally in charge of 3 million employees, okay? That's crazy. You can't have someone who is a weekend Fox News host do that job, like, out of nowhere. He does not have adequate work experience. Okay, that's crazy. That is like that is definitely disruptive. Okay, having said, or Matt Gaetz has no relevant experience with the exception of being in the crosshairs of the legal system. Okay, the only relevant experience Matt Gaetz has to be attorney general is that he has been investigated by the Department of Justice. That's it. Okay, like, that's insane. That's an insane thing to do, to put him in the top cop slot. The Deus Vult slogan has been used by perpetrators of right-wing terrorism. It was repeatedly used by the perpetrator of the 2017 Quebec City mosque shooting and was one of the tattoos on the body of the perpetrator of the 2023 Allen, Texas outlet mall shooting. Deus Vult was among the slogans and symbols used during the violent far-right riot of Charlottesville, Virginia in 2017. Yes, he is legit a lawyer. Yeah, brother. He went to law school and went into private practice for a year and then immediately ran for office. So no, he does not have legitimate lawyer bona fides at all. That is ridiculous, okay? Having a law degree does not make you a legitimate lawyer, okay? Chunk Weiger, my uncle, okay? Shaky Gurga, Cenk Uygur, also has a law degree. I don't think he should be attorney general, except he would still be more qualified than Matt Gaetz because he hasn't, done illegal shit. His only litigation experience was suing his dad's friend or some shit for health benefits.
Depicting religious symbols and phrases that fellow service members flagged to his superiors over concerns they're associated with white supremacists. Hegseth saying those concerns amount to anti-Christian bigotry, posting they can target
That's crazy.
me.
That's crazy. This is anti-Christian bigotry. Once again, the Deus Vult tattoo. Okay, let's look at Wikipedia. Okay, let's resort to my favorite website, Wikipedia. Deus Vult is a Christian motto relating to divine providence. It was first chanted by Catholics during the First Crusade as a rallying cry, most likely under the form Deus le Vult or Deus lo Vult, as reported by Gesta Francorum. Okay. In modern times, the Latin motto has different meanings depending on the context. It has been used as a metaphor referring to God's will by Christians throughout history, such as the Puritans. The modern application is an adoption by right-wing groups as a slogan. Deus Vult has been adopted by a slogan by a variety of Christian right and Christian nationalist groups, as well as alt-right and white supremacist groups. This usage was disseminated widely online through hashtags and internet memes. Crusader memes, such as an image of a Knight Templar accompanied by the caption, "I'll see your jihad and raise you one crusade," are popular on far-right internet pages. It is one of the several pieces of crusader imagery used by groups characterized in the Washington Post as far-right Christian nationalists and dominionists. One perspective is that racist movements co-opt the slogans and iconography of the European medieval period to evoke a fantasy of a pure white European heritage, a nostalgic view that is historically inaccurate and has been denounced by medievalist scholars as a gross distortion of history. Okay? What is hilarious about this is that it also runs with this false understanding that these guys in Europe were white that were doing the Crusades. It's no different than the way that, for example, the Nazis hailed the Roman era, regardless of the fact that Germans or the early German tribes were directly at odds with the Romans and fought them, as a matter of fact, successfully, despite the fact that they were barbarians and living in mud huts at the time. They also hailed the Roman mythology as though it was Teutoburger Wald. It was very funny that they, pointed to the Romans as this white society when it very clearly was not. People still do that, for the record. The Deus Vult slogan has been used by perpetrators of right-wing terrorism. It was repeatedly used by the perpetrator of the 2017 Quebec City mosque shooting and was one of the tattoos on the body of the perpetrator of the 2023 Allen, Texas outlet mall shooting. Deus Vult among the slogans and symbols used during the violent far-right riot in Charlottesville, Virginia in 2017. The slogan, as well as other Knights Templar imagery, has also been associated with far-right subgroups in the U.S. that merge Christian nationalism with gun culture. A Florida gun manufacturer engraved the slogan on its Crusader model of the AR-15 style rifle. The motto is also used by Christian nationalist groups in Europe. The phrase was portrayed on large banners carried by unspecified groups characterized by The Guardian as far-right marchers in 2017 in Warsaw, Poland. Yes, having a Deus Vult tattoo is weird and suspicious. It's especially weird and suspicious when you have also very openly, as Pete Hegseth has, said unimaginably racist things about how we have to do crusades against the jihadi Muslims over and over again. He has literally said that. So once again, we are looking at, symbols. Okay? We're looking at symbols to indicate whether or not this person has weird opinions when he's openly stating his weird opinions. Okay? He's openly stating his violent desires with regular frequency.
I don't give a damn. But this type of targeting of Christians, conservatives, patriots, and everyday Americans will stop on day one at Donald Trump's Department of Defense. Hegseth's post notably not disavowing the supremacists who have adopted the symbolism, though he has in the past. And this morning, a growing number of Republican senators are demanding to see the House Ethics Committee report into Trump's choice for Attorney General, former Congressman Matt Gaetz.
I believe the Senate should have access to that. Now, should it be released to the public or not? That's I guess that will be part of the negotiations, but that should be definitely part of our decision making.
While the Justice Department declined to pursue any charges, the bipartisan committee had been investigating Gaetz for allegations of sexual misconduct and illicit drug use. Sources tell ABC News a woman testified he had sex with her when she was only 17, something Gaetz has denied, as well as the drug claims. In a statement, Gaetz saying these allegations are invented and would constitute false testimony to Congress. This false smear following a 3-year criminal investigation should be viewed with great skepticism. But the investigation ended when Gaetz abruptly resigned from Congress last week, hours after Trump tapped him to be his Attorney General. At the time, House Speaker Mike Johnson was non-committal on whether the committee's report should be released. But now
it should not come out. And why? Because Matt Gaetz resigned from Congress. He is no longer a...
That's weird. That's weird. That's sus. It should not come out. This report should stay hidden. Please. It should not come out. He resigned. Sorry. You can't say it. You can't, after spending years and years on this report, you can't reveal the contents of it because he resigned.
member.
Trump is making it clear he plans to overhaul government agencies, tasking billionaire confidant Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy to lead a newly created Department of Government Efficiency.
We expect certain agencies to be deleted outright. We expect mass reductions in force in areas of the federal government that are bloated. We expect massive cuts among federal contractors and others who are overbilling the federal government.
Ramaswamy and Musk there by Trump's side at the fight this weekend. So too was his pick for Energy Secretary, Chris Wright, one of the nation's top fracking CEOs. Wright has fiercely criticized the existence of a climate crisis.
There is no climate crisis, and we're not in the midst of an energy transition either.
That's crazy. Elon Musk, hey, Elon Musk, put me in charge of the Pentagon. I'll slash $400 billion easy. That'll get you 20% to your goal of $2 trillion right out the gate. I went to Wharton 3 years before you. I own a media company, so I know how to run a business. If you really want to put me in, coach, specific suggestions are welcome. Oh my Lord. Unk, stop it, Unk. What the hell is going on, dude? The liberals have lost the plot. Okay, they're shaky Gurga. Don't do it. Thanksgiving gonna be wild this year. Yeah, the climate crisis isn't happening. It's fine. Please don't look at Florida, okay? It's normal. Florida likes being underwater, okay? The climate crisis isn't happening. Parts of North Carolina that are elevated in the mountainside are supposed to be underwater. That's just how things work. It's called weather, guys. Come on. It's called climate, right? Hey, please. Asheville, North Carolina, that area is supposed to be underwater. It likes it. It likes being underwater. It feels good as for Asheville, North Carolina to be underwater. Actually, please. Yeah. Have you ever considered how good it feels to get wet like Florida does? Yeah. 100-year droughts or floods happen every year. That's right there in the name. Climate scientists, which are, by the way, woke and gay, so obviously we don't believe them. Okay. Whenever they say, hey guys, it's kind of crazy that this once in a lifetime weather event is occurring now twice a year, you should look away. They're just lying. Yeah, if the climate didn't change, we'd get bored of the climate. Who wants seasons in the normal way that people experience them? Even the Weather Channel acknowledges how fucked we are.
2024 will most likely be the first year the world surpasses that critical 1.5 degrees Celsius or 2.7 degrees Fahrenheit of warming. At 2.7 degrees Fahrenheit of warming, we could soon see breakdowns in the ocean circulation systems. That means ocean currents begin to slow, resulting in major shifts in our global weather patterns and dramatic impacts on everything from farming to sea life. Also, an alarming reduction in global sea ice and glaciers, resulting in further warming and sea level rise.
It's a good thing that we are also nuking the Department of Education so that at a time when Americans just straightforwardly say science is woke and gay and I do not care about it because they're lying to me, I've done my own research. We can now have more people join that cause of claiming science is woke and gay and that we shouldn't believe in any of that. And we should instead, believe other things that someone made up. We should believe charismatic individuals who are just making stuff up instead of people who have spent countless hours trying to figure out what the fuck is going on and make assessments about the future. Oh my God.
And global weather patterns may become even more extreme. This means more intense flooding events, bigger wildfires, more extreme droughts, and more intense heat waves. Scientists warn that...
Says the Dems, you guys push agenda in education. Like, what do you guys think? Dude, exactly. Yes. No, the agenda is called learning, okay? It's called reading a book. That's the agenda. I'm sorry that it happens to correspond to a certain degree to what the liberals present themselves as defending, okay? And don't worry, the liberals have also dropped the ball spectacularly. Don't worry, Kamala Harris was talking about how she's going to do drill, baby, drill, okay? So it's not my fault. Anyway, yeah.
Wright, who has no government experience, has argued the impacts of climate change are overblown. But scientists agree humans are causing global warming and climate change. This year is shaping up to be the hottest on record, with more extreme weather events made worse by climate change expected. And
Nah, dog, that's just normal, bro. It feels good. It feels good for the areas impacted like this. It's like they're cleaning it. You know what I mean? Like, think about it this way. Your car gets dirty, you get it washed, right? Like, that's kind of what's going on here. Is that the attitude? Is that what we're going to be doing in the future? I've got relatives that say Asheville floods were a result of God's punishment because of the liberal, hedonistic center of North Carolina. Jeez, Lord mercy.
Expected. And leading health experts continue to sound the alarm about Trump's choice to lead the Department of Health and Human Services. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. A prominent vaccine skeptic, Kennedy is deeply suspicious of mainstream medicine and has vowed to reshape the U.S. health system.
I am outraged because lives are at stake here. To have someone leading
I hate this conversation because, like, parts of what Robert F. Kennedy says about American food is objectively correct. Okay? Parts about regulatory capture, also correct. He is the worst person to say it, however, and the media also routinely drops the ball. One passage that is burned into my mind was when RFK Jr. was talking about, like, I guess, Fruit Loops or whatever and how different it is in Canada. His assessment on certain fronts is completely correct, but his solution is incorrect. Okay, that's number one. Number two, when he talks about Fruit Loops in America versus Fruit Loops in Canada, he'll say, oh, they have, only 2 ingredients. He's wrong about that, right? In Canada, it's not just 2 ingredients. But the media will turn around and say, and I can't, what was the article? Like, I need to find this piece that was criticizing RFK's Fruit Loop conversation, okay? Where they were like, the difference between Fruit Loops in Canada and the chemicals that are used in Fruit Loops in the United States of America. Oh, here, this is it. This is what I was talking about. Thank you. Mr. Kennedy has singled out Fruit Loops as an example of a product with too many artificial ingredients, questioning why the Canadian version has fewer than the U.S. version. But he was wrong. The ingredients list is roughly the same, although Canada has natural colorings made from blueberries and carrots, while the U.S. product contains red dye 40, yellow 5, and blue 1, as well as butylated hydroxytoluene, or BHD, a lab-made chemical that is used for freshness, according to the ingredient label. So it's not the same thing. Like, what are we doing? What is the fact check here? Everyone on every side of the equation is failing spectacularly. RFK Jr. identifies a commonly held position that he is championing here and gaining prominence. The media is not accurately covering the frustration that I have, for example, with what RFK Jr. is presenting as a solution to the problem. The issue with the circumstance is, like, when they write stuff like this, people read it and go, what are you saying? Like, yeah, no, that's what he's pointing to. Like, you can't say these two things are the same with some minor differences. And then the minor differences is exactly what he's pointing to. The real problem here isn't RFK saying he wants to make food healthy. That's a good and honorable goal. The real problem is he is not going to do that with this current administration, okay? Because his solution is deregulation, not correct regulation and anti-corruption, but instead deregulation. When you deregulate, you don't arrive magically at a Canadian-style form of a regulatory agency. They have more regulation there. They have more regulation in Europe. That's the reason why they don't have these chemicals in their food. And it's not even just these chemicals, okay? There are massive, massive problems with the food that Americans consume. New York Times edited the article because of the tweet. Oh, shit. Because of an editing error, an earlier version of this article incorrectly described Mr. Kennedy's recent comments on Fruit Loops. He was comparing the total number of ingredients in the U.S. and Canadian version of the cereal, not the number of artificial ingredients. I hate this shit. I hate the coverage of it. And I hate that, like, RFK Jr. is considered a champion of health when he is, genuinely anti-medicine and, in certain instances, anti-science.
HS, who is one of the biggest deniers of vaccines in our country, would undermine the confidence in that program and likely would cost lives.
Even the conservative editorial board of the Rupert Murdoch-owned New York Post, writing the overriding rule of medicine is first, do no harm. We are certain installing Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to head Health and Human Services breaks this rule. Kennedy, who has railed against processed foods and criticized Trump's diet, seen this weekend posing with the president-elect over a meal of McDonald's.
Now, overnight, Trump naming Brendan Carr to be FCC commissioner. He's served there since 2012, received high praise from Elon Musk, and notably wrote a chapter of the Project 2025 policy book on how he would run the FCC. The big question for all of these nominees, of course, can they get confirmed in the Senate? And if not, will Trump urge the Senate to waive its confirmation responsibilities to push them through via recess appointments? George?
Yes, this is a real attest to the Republican-led Senate. Okay, Mary, thanks very much.
Donald Trump has officially confirmed that he is going to do mass deportation with use of military assets. It is virtually impossible for him to conduct mass deportations with the current existing ICE structure. There's simply not enough people to be able to engage in this. And now he is talking about deploying the American military on U.S. soil. This is legitimately terrifying. I mean, I'm eagerly waiting for an apology from my dad, who said this was just a campaign thing and he wouldn't actually do this or be allowed to do it by the course. Surely this apology will come in any minute now.
Elect Trump signaling a major move on immigration, responding true to a post on his social media platform, saying he will declare a national emergency and use military assets for a mass deportation program, a program he pledged to implement during his campaign, which focused in part on immigration and the southern border.
The Republican platform promises to launch the largest deportation operation in the history of our country.
And he's promised to use the military as enforcement in the past.
We must use any and all resources needed to stop the invasion, including moving thousands of troops currently stationed overseas.
Now, as Mr. Trump nods to his immigration plans and prepares for office, he's also facing a fight in Washington on some of the picks for his new administration.
A standing ovation.
After taking it a different kind of fight at a UFC match with allies this weekend. The spotlight now on his choice to lead the Pentagon. Former
Aiden Ross begging Trump to deport you as we speak. Yeah. I'm technically I am on the list, I think, of potential deportation nominees, but I'm on the tail end. For certain parts of my commentary, I'm on the first in line. But for other parts of my denaturalization process, I'm on the end of the line. Being openly anti-Israel puts me in the top slot, as Project 2025 has a specific branch dedicated to Project Esther, which dictates that they will go after anyone and everyone that criticizes Israel, hurts Israel's feelings, and hit him with RICO charges and actively work to deport them from the country. But on the other side, I'm on the tail end of the list. If I wasn't an outspoken critic of the nation state of Israel, I would be on the opposing side, or not opposing, but on the other side of the deportation process, where I'd be in the last part of the denaturalization. Crazy stalkers don't need to know that. Yeah. Now, people go, oh, well, this violates Posse Comitatus Act, federal law, signed into law on June 18th, 1878 by President Rutherford B. Hayes, that limits the powers of the federal government in the use of federal military personnel to enforce domestic policies within the United States. The problem is, what are you going to do? Take it up to the Supreme Court? What are the safeguards here? What are the safeguards that we currently have? What are the legal safeguards that we currently have? I'm about to put some trash in my neighbor's garbage can. Don't do it. There are no checks and balances against this. The Supreme Court is completely in the tank for Donald Trump. So much so that they've given Donald Trump additional protection from legal scrutiny. So everything that he says he's going to do, look forward to him actually successfully implementing. Okay? There is no reason to believe that Donald Trump this time around is not going to be able to follow through with a lot of these promises. Yes, it goes hand in hand with how he wants to use the Alien Enemies Act to turbocharge deportations. Trump is promising deportations under the Alien Enemies Act of 1798, okay? Former President Donald Trump, whose bid for the White House has been dominated by his increasingly hardline anti-immigration rhetoric, is vowing to use an obscure centuries-old law to expedite the removal of undocumented immigrants from the United States. I will invoke the Alien Enemies Act of 1798 to target and dismantle every migrant criminal network operating on American soil, he said at a recent rally in California. Ironically enough, a lot of the states, if they refuse to collaborate with the federal government on this sort of thing, refuse to give the federal government information on where migrants are, for example, undocumented migrants are, will trigger a massive constitutional crisis, because then they would have to fight against each individual state. It would literally be civil war. Trump is promising that if reelected, he will use the act to initiate a federal effort called Operation Aurora, named after the Colorado town that he claims has been taken over by Venezuelan gangs, which residents and local officials dispute, to target undocumented migrant gang members for arrest and deportation. He has also suggested that the act could be used to end sanctuary cities, which limit cooperation with federal immigration authorities, telling Fox News' Harris Faulkner that we can do things in terms of moving people out. It's also name-checked in the Republican Party's official 2024 platform, Agenda 47, which says it will invoke the law to remove all known or suspected gang members, drug dealers, or cartel members in the United States, ending the scourge of illegal alien gang violence once and for all. Now, why is this important? Why is this important? Why are they using this kind of language? Before you say, excuse me, I don't want violent drug dealers to operate inside of our national boundaries. They are engaging in a direct violation of the law. The local law enforcement authorities that do collaborate when it comes to, murders and drug dealing and federal offenses already do prosecute these people. And then the federal government does deport them after the criminal trial is over. Saying you're going to do this to suspected drug dealers opens up the boundaries of what the existing law is. Just so you understand, they're using MS-13 or Tren de Aragua, which is the new MS-13, the Venezuelan version, to say they are going to go after every single migrant. They are not going to go after criminals, because the government, the local authorities, and the federal government already does go after criminals. Cry me a river, you say? Oh my God. For a lot of people that have completely checked out, I think, of hoping that anything good will happen, they are just running on fumes, okay? They're angry. They don't know what they're angry about. And they are specifically saying, no, it's good. Let's just punish those who are even less fortunate than we are, and then maybe I will feel better. You will not feel better, okay? You will not feel better when this happens. You will actually suffer even more when this happens. Especially when, if you are the most selfish person and don't give a about the fact that this would mean that 1 in 15 families that are mixed status households would actually have an immediate family member forcibly ripped and removed from their immediate family members for no crime other than existing on U.S. soil and participating in the American economy. If you don't care about the inhumanity of that situation, you will care when your economy is imploding. Okay? It is ironic that so many people said they are voting for Donald Trump because of food prices, not realizing that undocumented migrants are responsible for damn near the entirety of America's agricultural production. This is precisely the reason why when Donald Trump uses the Bracero program or Operation WB, won't say it, okay, that's what it was called, when he hailed that as a fantastic thing to do that he was going to bring back in a big way, right, under the Eisenhower administration, the American government engaged in mass deportations of 1.2 million, I believe, if not even more than that, mass deportation of 1.2 million people of Mexican background, including but not limited to American citizens of Mexican descent, for the record. Okay? And in that process, Texas and many other places that relied on Mexican labor, farmhands, and the like were actually openly defending through violent means against the federal government their fellow laborers. Things will change very quickly when you start recognizing that this is going to genuinely destroy American agricultural production. Did Hassan just say a slur? What? No, I didn't. I purposely didn't say the name of the operation. Bros are horny for clips. Yeah. So excited. He's like, ooh, maybe I can get him canceled now. Estimated 350,000 to 1 million deported, up to 60% of Americans. I'm sure the real number is way higher than 1 million. Those agricultural production facilities took the risk of hiring illegal immigrants, knowing that they may get deported for violating the law due to illegally immigrating here. The production may get slashed, but that is the result of cheap corporate greed. Yeah, the problem is there is no way to fill this role. You understand that, right? The real solution is not to forcibly remove millions of people that are participating in the economy in very meaningful ways, in much more meaningful ways than you, I'm loco. Okay, the solution is to document these people and allow them to participate in even more meaningful ways in the American economy and allow them to actually demand fairer wages, for example. If the price of eggs are going to go up, if the price of avocado is going to go up, regardless, I would rather have it go up in a more ethical way, in a more sustainable way in the interim period than one that will completely destroy the American economy, okay? If you voted for Donald Trump personally because you thought he was going to lower the egg prices, for example, you are in for a very hard, very shitty surprise when you realize that the price of eggs are going to shoot up to $20 when there's no one to, work in the poultry facilities. The only difference is absolutely zero people are so racist that they will forego their treats, okay? Everything that Donald Trump has ironically advocated for is actually inflationary, even though he was seen as the solution to the inflation crisis that Americans were experiencing. Wage growth did not outpace the cost of goods, the cost of goods going up. Tariffs, on the other hand, is inflationary. And so is mass deportation of 20 million migrants. Poultry and produce farms will become the new work camps to extract free labor of undocumenteds? Yes. Source for what? Those were the old days when they had tough politicians build a crowd of supporters. Think of that. 1798. Oh, it's a powerful act. You couldn't pass something like that today. Let's continue.
Fox News anchor Pete Hegseth. His attorney confirms to NBC News Hegseth paid a settlement to a woman last year after she previously accused him of sexual assault in 2017. But the attorney says Hegseth maintains his innocence and that the encounter was consensual.
Do you think that this matter could sink Pete Hegseth's confirmation?
It could. We'll figure out if he can get confirmed or not. And I do think that Pete's a good pick for this position.
Mr. Trump has told advisors he plans to stand by Hegseth after a recent conversation with his nominee, according to the New York Times, citing two people briefed on the discussion. Also facing new
the way I see this working, by the way, and there's a reason why the price or the stock prices of private prisons shot up after the Trump victory, is the way I foresee this happening is private prison facilities are going to come back in a massive way. Okay. They are going to build new private prison facilities, work camps, basically, and all of the migrants that they put into these work camps are going to have to work for free at gunpoint to engage in this agricultural production that they were already doing for pennies on the dollar, but this time they'll have to do it for free. This is my speculation, okay? My suspicion is we already have slavery in this country. It is constitutionally protected as a form of punishment, and we will utilize it. Slavery is illegal? No, it's not. Slavery is very much legal, please. The 13th Amendment that is supposed to abolish slavery actually still maintains slavery as a legal form of punishment. Okay? It is still absolutely legal. It's legal in virtually every state. Okay? California, as a matter of fact, just reconfirmed its legal status in a ballot measure. California voted to keep slavery as a legal form of punishment 2 weeks ago.
Backlash, the president-elect's choice of now former Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz to lead the Department of Justice, with multiple sources telling NBC News he faces a very different...
For the record, before people say, what are you saying about agricultural workforce? Okay. What do you mean about agricultural workforce? Immigrants in American farms. In 2019, more than half of all hired farm workers in the United States were immigrants, or roughly 450,000 workers. In many states known for their fresh produce, Immigrant farm laborers make up large shares of miscellaneous agricultural workers. In the state of California, 79.3% of agricultural workers are foreign born. They're either on a specific migrant worker visa, or they are undocumented workers. Okay. In Washington, it's 77%. In Oregon, it's 73%. In Florida, it's 70.9%. In Arizona, it's 69.8%. In North Carolina, it's 64.3%. The share of miscellaneous agricultural workers in crop production that are undocumented as of 2019 is 30.9%. If you forcibly removed even 31% of the entire labor force in the agricultural sector, what do you think that would do to prices? What do you think that would do to supply? What do you think that would do to the supply of readily available agricultural goods? Yes, I know. Cal matters. California rejected the ballot measure to. California rejected the ballot measure to. I mean, this is horrible. Remove slavery exception. 53% of Californians voted to maintain slavery as a form of punishment. Now, for the reason, for people who are saying why the did that happen, it is because, number one, there was a big ass campaign, okay, against removing it, and number two, it didn't have slavery in the way that they wrote it. They wrote it as I think they wrote it as like servitude as a form of punishment. That was the reason why a lot of people were confused. It was written as indentured servitude, or involuntary servitude, not indentured servitude, sorry. In other states where they openly write it as slavery, these ballot measures actually pass. They abolish slavery, but when you write it as involuntary servitude, people don't fully understand what that means, especially when there are active. Yeah. Tennessee wrote it specifically as slavery, and it was banned by 80% of the vote. Tennessee voters officially banned all forms of slavery in the state. Tennessee has officially banned all forms of slavery. Voters on Tuesday approved a ballot measure, this was back in 2022, that removes language of allowing slavery and involuntary servitude as forms of punishment for those convicted of crimes. The measure got 80% of the vote, okay? Anyway, words matter, okay? The way people apply language in this situation and weaponize it matter.
Difficult path to confirmation. Gaetz resigned his seat last week, ending a House Ethics Committee investigation into whether he engaged in sexual misconduct and illicit drug use. Allegations.
If you keep scrolling, it shows the number of Americans that kept doing agricultural jobs, 0.01%. What do you mean?
He denies. While some in both parties want the committee to release its report, House Speaker Mike Johnson disagrees, saying Gaetz is now a private citizen.
I think that would be a Pandora's box.
Hallie, let's go back to this news that just broke overnight. President-elect Trump confirming that he wants to declare a national emergency, and then that would enable him to use the military. How might that work? How much would it cost?
Let me take the second part of your question first, Savannah. How much would it cost? The answer is a lot of money, but we can't get super specific because it's not clear how much. There's one estimate that suggests it could be something like $90 billion a year. That's from an immigration rights group, which also questions the impact to the economy more broadly, saying that the annual GDP could take a hit because of the removal of workers, especially in the construction and hospitality industries. But President-elect Trump and his allies have argued this issue is so important. It was so central to his campaign that it goes beyond cost. Mr. Trump, remember, told NBC News right after the election that there's no price tag on this because there's no choice other than to do it. He would need Congress to approve the money he needs. But remember, both the House and the Senate will be in Republican control next year. As for the practicalities, how does this actually work? Again, real question marks there. Mr. Trump was pressed repeatedly during his campaign for answers on the specifics, but that's still not clear. We are, of course, out to the Trump transition for any more details on the plan. Savannah?
All right. Hallie Jackson leading us off from Washington. Thank you.
No price tag. Has any Democrat ever said anything like that ever? Why is this what is essential but not healthcare? What is wrong with the Democrats? I hate it. Yeah.